Great. Thank you, Heather. Okay. All right. So welcome everyone to the town hall meeting. My name is Zena Horn. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the current president of Aunt Yamet, and I'm here along with Rabbi Philip Baisley and our executive director, Heather Kibble, to bring you up to date on in-person reopenings at the temple. And of course, our plans for the high holidays. And at the end of the town hall, we'll have breakout sessions where you'll have a chance to connect with other members and to share thoughts and ideas or just to say hello. So let me start with in-person Friday night services. I'm happy to report that we have started and continue to look forward to welcoming our temple family to in-person Shabbat services in the coming weeks of summer. So if you're unable or uneasy about returning to in-person services, you'll be able to participate in each service virtually through the use of live stream, Facebook, or YouTube. And as we continue to look out for our congregants' health and safety, we've created protocols with the help, of course, of our Temple's COVID task force guiding our decisions to make your and others return to the sanctuary as safe and successful as possible. If you attend in-person Shabbat services, we will ask that you sign in, wear a mask, and social distance. Certain pews in the sanctuary have been blocked off to allow for this. The doors to the sanctuary and to the outside will be open to allow for air circulation, and there will be no congregational oneg or kiddush right now following the service. So these guidelines are naturally subject to change, and we will continually reevaluate our plans based on the state of the pandemic and the health of our congregants, clergy, and staff, and of course, to the success of the in-person services. And we will keep you updated to any changes to these plans. So I'm sure you're all eagerly awaiting the temple's plans for the high holidays. We have been talking about it for months. And so many unknowns are with us right now that it's hard to predict what the restrictions will be like in the coming months. But our number one priority is trying to keep everyone safe. The high holidays fall in early September, and we don't know if we can fully reopen by September 5th. What we do know is that we would like everyone to be able to come to at least one service and possibly more during the high holidays. So as you might imagine, seating will be extremely limited this year, especially if we need to social distance. We're trying to accommodate all members and enable everyone who wants to attend services in person to be able to do so. So to this end, all members will receive a ticket request form, and the form will be emailed out to you. I urge you to please fill it out. The goal is to ensure that all congregants will be able to attend at least one service in the sanctuary if they so desire. Remember, all temple members are now entitled to high holiday tickets for immediate family members without additional costs. And yes, as in the past, you will be able to purchase additional tickets for family members not living with you, such as parents and adult children over 25. The fees will be the same as in the past. So please do not request tickets for a specific service unless you're planning to come. Plan ahead and think of which service you would most like to attend. What we are asking is that you rank the importance to you of attending each service, and we will do our best to assign a service that ranks in your top 2 or 3 choices. Sanctuary seats will be assigned, and as you can imagine, seating will be a challenging task, but our seating committee has been gearing up for that challenge. Because of social distancing parameters, traditional and previous year seating arrangements will not be in effect this year. So what that means is that you may not have the seats that you always have had in the past. So I ask you to please look beyond the placement of your seats and celebrate the togetherness, the community, and the true essence of the Days of Awe. There will also be a non-traditional multimedia service in the amphitheater run by our rabbinic interns. And again, you need to request tickets to attend, but seats will not be assigned there. Also, I want to mention that there will be a question on the form asking you if you have been vaccinated. This information will remain confidential. It is only there to get a sense of the percentage of vaccinated attendees so that we may better deal with social distancing and mask mandates. So, since COVID shut our temple down in March of 2020, our clergy staff and our lay leaders have done what I think is an outstanding job of keeping us connected. Only benefit us moving forward. COVID has displaced our routines, but it's also brought new light to opportunities to reach people in ways we haven't done before. So to do that, we need upgrades in things like our technology and other things that help us keep us connected. So to that, I am going to ask Rabbi Baisley to step in and tell us about some of the technology upgrades that we are starting, and also to keep you up to date on what's going on with the High Holiday service. Rabbi?
Thank you, Ina. And I want to start just by saying a big thank you to our seating committee. You know, in the past, the way they did it is they made seating arrangements for the early service and for the late service. If you're in person right now in our sanctuaries, you're going to notice every other row is blocked off and the first three are blocked off as well, so that we can socially distance ourselves, which means that if things stay the way they are, we might not be able to get every chair filled in the sanctuary for the high holidays, which means that the seating committee is going to have to come up with a seating chart for every single individual service, which is why I want to press upon again what Ina had said about only request tickets for the services you'd like to attend. If you know you're going to be in Florida at someone else's synagogue for Rosh Hashanah, don't request Rosh Hashanah services. That might mean that we can get more people in. It is my hope and my desire that things will be in such a place at the beginning of September that we might be able to take down some of those restrictions so that we can maybe fill every seat. But we're really using science and our scientists and doctors on our COVID task force to guide us. This might be something that we really don't know about until we get a week or so away from high holidays. As I've been putting it to those who ask about high holiday plans, it feels like you're trying to throw a dart at a bullseye as somebody's running around and serpentining with the dartboard. We, as it stands right now, have reservations about the choir singing live because of COVID and people being exposed. So we're having Bloom Music, who did the recordings for us last year, to record the choir singing individually so they can stitch it all together. And then we are upgrading our technology in the sanctuary and actually throughout the entire building. But in the sanctuary, we're redoing our sound system. And we're also putting in giant screens at the front of the sanctuary so that during the service, we'll be able to put up the words of the service, but also put up the choir doing pieces during the service, so that the stuff we pre-record, you'll be able to hear the choir sing during services. In addition to that, we are going to have to pre-record the blowing of the shofars, because apparently, as it stands, blowing into a giant trumpet in all the corners of the room is like having a giant COVID cannon. And the doctors are saying that's probably not a good idea. But we might be in a place in September where we could do it live in the sanctuary, or maybe on the steps of the synagogue outside live. But we don't know if we're going to be there yet, so we have to pre-record it. It could be that the choir gets to sing live during the service. These are things that we won't really know until we get closer. So we're investing in some of this technology, like the monitors, the screens in the sanctuary, so that we can not only do pre-recorded things in a way that's nice and sophisticated, but also that we can use multimedia in the services as well. That'll be integrated into our live stream. For example, some of the benefits of this is I gave a sermon last Yom Kippur called No Justice, No Peace, about seeing this little girl hold a sign that said KONW, Justice, KONOW, Peace, and how that kind of changed my impact on what some of these protests mean. I had a photo of that girl holding that sign. I could have put that up on the screen for everybody to see. And there are other things like that that we can do during services to interact with multimedia and the services themselves. Um, uh, so that's part of some of the changes we're doing to the sanctuary. We're also moving to a new live stream service called Live Control. They'll be putting in 2 high definition cameras that can be controlled remotely to zoom in and out. So that you can zoom in on whoever's speaking. So it's not this removed kind of C-SPAN-esque service that you're watching from afar, but immerses you. I know a couple of you have said that the services don't feel as intimate right now as they used to, now that everybody's back together. We'll be installing the monitors, installing the cameras, going to that service, and putting in our new sound system all around the last week of July. I can't guarantee that you won't see outlets on the walls until everything is fully installed in the sanctuary. I promise you won't see it after it's all installed, but that's all going to be the last week of July. So those of you who are watching from home, please bear with us a little while until everything gets installed in a couple of weeks. And then the experience should be just like it was when everybody was remote. In addition to that, just as a tangent for the technology, all of the classrooms where we're doing adult education are getting smart boards with cameras and microphones so that people can do study remotely and in person, and that should be installed around the same time as well. Where we stand right now in terms of being masked and socially distanced at services, I'm expecting as the numbers continue to decrease and as our advisory committee is telling us, things will move in a positive direction with being able to open up. I know it's kind of weird to think that you could go into a movie theater right now and watch the latest Marvel movie and nobody's wearing a mask, but you can't do it at synagogue. We have always followed what our doctors have advised us, which is not always what the politicians choose to do. So just because you can walk into a Home Depot or a Target without a mask, we really want to make sure that we're keeping everybody safe and protected here, especially the children who can't get vaccinated yet. And you know, there are a lot of children that are going in and out of our temple, especially in the nursery school right now. My guess is that once children can get vaccinated who are under 12, things should start opening up a lot more at the synagogue. To help accommodate services a little bit more, as you know, we have 2 new rabbinic interns. We are bringing back our multimedia high holiday experience in the amphitheater. I know many of you were a big fan of that instead of the traditional service up in the sanctuary. That's going to be happening concurrently with all the services during the high holidays. So not just the early services, Rosh Hashanah evening and morning, but every service that we have is also going to have a multimedia service in the sanctuary so that people can also choose that as an option they go to. So we're increasing the number of services and the potential for getting, as a predecessor of mine once said, tuchuses and seats, so that we can accommodate as many people as possible. And also with our new Zooming service and using Bloom Music, those who are choosing to stay home for the high holidays or might not have gotten a seat for a particular service should have the same exact experience that they had last year at home, which was quite good. When you're filling out your form, I really do want to implore you to do a preference for the services that mean the most for you. For example, if Kol Nidre is of particular importance and you want to be there for that moment with the Torahs out of the ark, and that's more important to you than Yom Kippur morning or afternoon, highlight that. If being there for Yizkor is more important to you than the other ones, highlight that. That's Yom Kippur afternoon. And we're all doing right now back-to-back Yom Kippur afternoon Ne'ilah services, just so that we can get as many people into Yizkor and Ne'ilah as possible.
Can I just jump in for
Yes.
a second? I do want to mention our plan is to offer both the afternoon services to do an early and a late, which is, new. We used to do just one. But if we find that we can adjust our social distancing and allow for more people in to the sanctuary at one time, and we look at how many people have requested tickets, and we find that we can get everybody into one service, then we're gonna do one service in the afternoon for Yisker and Ne'ilah. So that's one of the things that may change, and we ask for everybody's patience. What we're trying to do is offer a variety of options to make sure that we can get as many of you into services in person as possible for, as many services as possible. And the only way we're really gonna know whether we can do that or not is based on the information you provide when you fill out the form.
And to answer Geneviève's question, we are only asking if someone is vaccinated just so that we have an understanding of what the percentages are, because that might affect how many people we're able to bring into the building. No one is being restricted on whether or not they have the vaccine. It also helps us understand masked versus unmasked. And if people are not vaccinated, we're going to ask that everybody wears masks. That's one of the reasons why at Friday night services, we ask everybody to stay masked the entire time, except for the clergy who aren't masked, but there's a social distance of many, many, many feet and then some, because we're seeing with this Delta variant that it's really affecting people who aren't fully vaccinated. So we want to make sure that we don't create a hotspot at services. But vaccination or not vaccination is not a barrier to being able to come to services, but we are asking that everybody wear a mask, whether or not you're vaccinated.
Okay, Laura Gordon just asked a question in the chat that I can answer, and that's a great question, Laura. She asked if we want to sit with family members who are also, so would you request all the tickets together? Thank you, Laura, for asking that. There is a place on the form to note if there are other members that you would like to sit with, where you wouldn't necessarily have to socially distance. There are people that you're comfortable sitting with. You can then indicate their names. However, we will not hold seats for them unless they also have filled out a form. So make sure that they also fill out a form. If it's a family member that you are buying tickets for, then you are going to be requesting all of those tickets on your form. But if it's another temple member and you just want to sit with them, whether you're related to them or not, you can request it. When the seating committee starts to do their seating, if your friends haven't requested their tickets yet, it's going to make it difficult for the seating committee to put you together. So just, as you fill your form out and you want to sit with somebody, call them and say, hey, make sure you get your form in and, put my name down on your form as well. And then the seating committee will try as best they can to put you together with your requests, and also hopefully honor, getting you into the same service together. The question came.
Question about high holidays. Will clergy be masked when at the lectern, speaking, singing? The answer is I can't really give you a firm answer now. The truth is 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, I wouldn't have been able to imagine that we'd all be in person right now. When the pandemic started in the March of 2020, March 13th, we thought we'd all be together. On March 11th, we thought we'd all be together March 13th. Then Thursday, March 12th, we said, no, we can't do this. And it changed on a dime. Similarly, we went from we can't have people in the sanctuary to next week, we can all be in the sanctuary because things just changed so dramatically, so quickly. Because of how quickly things have changed under the pandemic multiple times, I'm really reticent to I'm really reticent as to making a prediction of what mask policy will be in place come high holidays. Our advisory team might say, if the rabbi is masked, then we can take down the tape for the first 3 rows, and that will enable enough people to not, kick people out. And then I might be masked and the cantor might be unmasked, because if you have a mask that's worth any good whatsoever, it's hard to sing Kol Nidre twice, do that service twice in a row. but there might be other things that we can do that will enable him to be unmasked, but still let people gather in closer. Or they might say because the clergy are vaccinated, they don't need to wear a mask because we don't know the vaccination of everybody else. So you see what I'm getting at there? It's like a choose your own adventure book, and we need to get closer to the date to know which pathway we're going to go. So I'm going to ask for everybody's patience, as I can't give you all the answers right now, but I'm giving you as what we know as of this very moment. And there are going to be 2 back-to-back services, early and late, for every single service, including the ones that we don't normally do back-to-back services with. If enough people request seats, as Heather said, for like second day Rosh Hashanah, and everybody can fit in one service, then we'll merge services together as one. But those would just be for the ones that are traditionally only one service, not back-to-back. As of right now, we are planning
Okay,
single service to be
I'm
back.
on now. Okay, bye-bye.
Oh, sorry, I'm muting people.
Okay.
Somebody also asked,
Everybody
was-
is expected for the high holidays to be masked wherever they are.
no, somebody asked me if there would be an interim service on Yom Kippur. Oh, I remember, before you answer that, the one thing I was going to tell you, everybody, so there's an email that's going out at 8 o'clock, and you're all going to get the email. It has high holiday information. It has a lot of all of the information we're telling you written out again, so you can read it. And it has the link to the form, which also has information on it. One thing you will not see on the form is the exact time of each service. Again, this is because we don't know exactly how much time we will need between services to possibly clean and disinfect the room. How thorough will we have to do that by September? So that's number one. And number two, we don't know if we're going to exactly be doing 2 services on the second day of Rosh Hashanah, 2 services for Yizkor and Ne'ilah on Yom Kippur. So until we make some of those decisions, we're holding off on noting the exact times of the services. Know that they'll be roughly the same as they were in prior years, as sort of a guiding when's an early, when's a late, but the exact times will be announced as we get closer. Other questions? So the interim service, the question came about that.
I would say that we are planning to have an interim program. Whether or not it's pre-recorded and streamed or live, that's yet to be decided, because if we have to do back-to-back Yom Kippur afternoon Yizkor Ne'ilah services, then we really don't have time to also run an interim, but we could run it and we could record it and stream it live on YouTube or on Facebook, so that the group that's in the opposite service would be able to watch it and then stream it later. With the sanctuary rows taped as they are now, what is the seating capacity of the sanctuary? I would say it's about a little less than 50%. Other questions about the high holidays?
I'll jump in. The one more thing I was reminded to tell everybody is that we're not going to be doing the traditional tickets that you may have seen in the past, where it was just one ticket and it had like a label and your name. We're not going to be doing that. You'll probably get a sheet of paper, because it will tell you which service you're coming to and what your seats are. Your seats might be different for each service, because there'll be different people attending different services. So again, this is not an easy task for the seating committee, where they used to do 2 seatings. They now have to do, I don't know, 11, 12, 13. It's a lot of work. So again, we urge you to fill out your forms early. And one thing we didn't mention, if you are not comfortable with the computer, you do not have to fill the form out online. You will have to call the office, and we will talk you through the questions, and we will fill the form out for you. So that is an option for anybody who is not, and this will be in the bulletin as well, and we are mailing it out to people. If you have friends who are members who don't check email, you're concerned about them, you could offer to help them with it, or just tell them to call the office and remind them to go ahead and do that. And we'll be checking on them as well, which is one of the reasons we want people who aren't planning to attend. If you know you don't want to come and you're not comfortable, or you're not going to be around, go in and fill out the form and say, I plan to not attend, and let us know that, because otherwise we're going to be worried about you. And the seating committee might actually call you and say, did you fill out the form? When you didn't fill out the form, are you planning to come? Do you want any tickets? So if you can at least let us know that you don't plan to come, that would be helpful as well. Were you going to say something? I heard you. And I don't see you. No. Okay. Rabbi, what else did we forget? There, Ina, I brought you back.
No, I was just gonna say, if you're not using your tickets, that please don't give them to other people. If you are, if you are using your tickets, please use them. But if you're not, you could let us know if for some reason at the last minute you are not going to use those tickets.
We hit everything on my list, Ina. Did we
Yeah,
miss-
no, I'm good.
Any questions about anything from anybody, I guess?
Yeah, feel free to unmute or put it in the chat if you didn't already. And again, the office will be open. You can call us. You can email me if you have questions once you get the form, or if there are things we didn't cover.
It's about getting stronger.
Who
Out
was
loud
that?
or by putting it in the chat, but
So
I
that,
thought
yeah,
this year was considered to be a great success. So why, with the risk and the concern and the uncertainty, are we not?
Andrew, I don't think we can hear you well enough. Hold on a second. I'm trying to mute whoever that is. Okay, try again, Andrew. No, you're muted.
Is
There
this
you go.
better?
Yeah,
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I had thought the last year was considered to be quite a success. And it was really quite meaningful. Given the uncertainty and the risks that still continue, since we have no all clear for all interactions, why, and maybe I missed it by being 5 minutes late, why are we not just not replaying, but redoing the approach of last year instead of 11 seatings and 16 different possible configurations, and tell me your favorite service and why, and your vaccination status, etc.
So, I think it's because we are investing in the ability for people to have the same experience that they had last year at home again this year. But also with the number of people that we have vaccinated, with the things that you can do around the state right now, either unmasked or masked, but be able to do in a different way than we were last October, it was hard to justify that we shouldn't do anything in person because of the risks, especially because we're doing Friday night services in person as well. What we instead wanted to do was create a high holiday experience that was meaningful and spiritual, that you could have the same spiritual relationship with, whether you're in person or at home. Yes, it creates a tremendous amount of work. Yes, there were times when I went cross-eyed looking at all the possible different ways. And the, was the cantor telling the choir, and was the choir doing it, and all the seating charts, and to a certain degree, yes, Andrew, it would be a lot easier if we were still in a pandemic world where we shouldn't gather together. But the truth is, the number of infections that are in New Jersey right now are quite low. If you're vaccinated, the risk is quite minimal. And we're only expecting it to continue that way despite the Delta variant. We're being as cautious as we can be, but we're also being realistic that we can gather and we can do things together. So we're trying to create a service experience where no matter how you feel in terms of how much you're willing to risk yourself, you'll have something that is meaningful and spiritual. With that, I'm going to pause to close my door because Jim's now vacuuming in the hallway.
okay, and I'll look at a few. There's some questions in the chat that I want to
Okay.
answer. Daycare will not be offered this year for the babysitting for the high holidays. we are running our daycare, our GON, and we're keeping the rooms cleaned and preserved for the kids who are in the GON. And we just are not going, we don't believe we're going to be comfortable by September. Again, if something changes and we can open it up at the last minute, but we think that it'll be too much to coordinate, knowing that, again, children, infants aren't being vaccinated. Even by September, I don't think they'll have anything for kids under 5. So we're going to ask people with children that age to not bring them to services, or, or do not expect there to be babysitting. We're also not planning to run a family service in person this year. That is one that we are planning to do, have a service that will be streamed, that people can watch at home at whatever time is comfortable for them and their family. Something else that was reminded about is, just as we did last year, members will be able to borrow prayer books. If you would like, you'll be able to sign them out, so that for those services that you are at home for, you will have a prayer book at home. Depending on how many we have left in the building, we may need you to bring them in, but my guess is we have enough prayer books that we can loan out however many we need to, and still have enough in the sanctuary for use. Torah readers, Rabbi, will they be in person or pre-recorded? Did we decide that one yet?
I'm going to guess that they're going to be probably in person, but because we just need to figure out how to do it where we aren't spreading germs, but everybody 12 and older is vaccinated, so it should be fine.
Okay, other questions? Anybody else want to unmute? Or let's see, something new.
Alias.
Aliot, same thing, yeah.
I have a question about the choir and seating. If we don't know right now if or when we're going to be singing and for which services, we can't yet put down whether or not we're going to be wanting seats for those particular days. So I don't know how that's going to come about.
I imagine we'll have a really good sense of that soon enough for you to be able to get tickets that are actually seated. The Cantor and I are talking. He's on vacation right now. We have a COVID meeting for the moment. Both of us are back, where we're going to discuss this. My guess is that you should request seats anyway right now to be on the safe side. We are investing in recording that stuff so that the choir can be part of services in one way or another. My guess is, if we get the all clear of, by the way, the choir can sing, it'll be so late in the summer that we get that all clear, that the amount of singing the choir does will be very different than it has been. And it might be for these particular pieces that you're going to rehearse, you would come up to the bima to do it, or some other location to do it, rather than up in the balcony or off to the side. Again, it's like throwing a dart at a dartboard. I'm thinking of, what was the movie? The In-Laws, with Peter Falk and Alan Alda, where he's running to the car and being shot at, and Peter Falk's yelling, "Serpentine,
Serpentine, yeah.
That, I feel like I'm throwing a dartboard as somebody's throwing a dart at a dartboard as somebody's serpentining with it. So I'm giving you the best answers I can right now. I would say, if you're in the choir, you should just request tickets to be in the congregation. And we will engage the choir as much as possible, doing the best as we can right now with what we know of what's going on.
Okay, thank you.
What are our plans for Slichot? Would you like to share?
We're going to hold Slichot services that are here, and the number of people we normally get for Slichot in the building should be fine for the socially distance as it is in the sanctuary right now. There'll be live streams, so we'll have a Zoom class of some sort with people in person and online, because we're planning to be hybrid going forward. And then the service will be live streamed.
Anybody else? I don't see any hands raised.
Oh.
Nobody else is in the chat. I'm scrolling through. Anybody have any other questions? No? Great. That means we did a good job giving you all the information about
Okay.
everything we don't know.
I felt like I said, I just don't know right now quite a lot tonight. I
Yeah.
just recorded and played it over and over again, and I know that's frustrating for so many people out there, but we don't want to make promises that we can't keep. We want to be realistic of where we are right now, because anything beyond what we're doing right now is just icing on the cake. So, again, I know people really enjoyed services last year, and I promise you that if you don't feel comfortable coming in person, for whatever reason, you should still get a very similar experience. Not exactly the same, but a very similar experience again.
Was there anything else you wanted to cover?
Not unless anybody has any questions about any, we are continuing to open up as much as possible. I know that, just as an example, we had our first Shababakyu, and we'll continue to have those in person throughout the summer, over the summer months. So that's another good thing for us, but slowly, more and more in-person things will be happening. And as we said, the guidelines will help us to move forward.
Okay,
Ah.
Rabbi, one more question. You see it?
Yep, our rabbinic interns. We have two very lovely rabbinic interns. The first is Sienna Lodenberg. The second is Ezra Leventhal. Sienna is going to be more of the traditional intern that we've had in the past, doing some adult education. You'll see her most Friday nights with me. She'll be delivering sermons every now and then. She'll be working with some of the high school students in classes, and you'll see her a lot around the building. You'll see Ezra a little bit less. She's going to be working more with the youth groups and also with trying to create a cohort of 20s and 30s in New Brunswick and Middlesex County. She's going to be really targeting the unaffiliated Jews in the area, trying to create programs for those who are out of high school, out of college, but haven't yet really found a place in a synagogue, that are kind of in that in-between stage of, I don't have children yet, so I'm not joining a temple. What is there for me? So she's going to be creating that community. And also working with families with young children who are either affiliated or not affiliated, to try and create more entry paths into the temple. They'll be doing other things along the way. At the high holidays, you'll probably see more of Sienna up on the bima with me, and more of Ezra in the multimedia service, doing this entrepreneurial outreach, which is where a lot of her background is. You will be seeing both of them on the pulpit giving sermons at some point throughout the year and during the high holidays as well. Oh, and they start September 1st, but actually I'll be meeting with them in a week or so to talk about the high holidays with them, and to help give them some grounding along with the cantor. So they're kind of starting to work on high holidays now, but you're really going to start seeing them starting September 1st for the high holidays. Slichot would be probably the first time many of you will see them.
Okay. Great. So I'm going to stop the recording because I think the official part of the meeting is done.
Okay.